Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Let's Get Social Live. Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday, right? I think it is Wednesday. I'm so excited because we are here with some special guests. Why? Because we want to talk all about the Chicago Frocktails, which we are so excited about. The countdown is here. We are like, everybody is feverishly working on their Chicago Frocktails outfit. So we are going to talk about all things Chicago Frocktails, and I'm so excited to have Carol, known as Auntie Carol. So I'm going to be flipping back and forth. And Elizabeth here as well, who is on the planning committee. And so again, we have them here. If you have questions, please drop them in the chat. But I have a ton of questions that I'm excited to ask everyone. Before we get to those questions, we have a ton of our favorite sewists that are in the chat. And so, hey, Julian, welcome, Sabrina. Creativity, welcome. Aisha, welcome. Karen, Lisa, Will, Elisa, Roberta, welcome, welcome. Hi, Miss Tata, welcome. We are so excited to see all of you here. Tamika, Evan. So we're going to keep following the chat. Again, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. And do that, I want you to hear, from some of our guests. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and introducing yourself, who you are, a little bit of history, your sewing history, and maybe a fun fact that you want to share. And I'm putting you on the spot there because I didn't tell you in advance that you have to share a fun fact. So whatever it is, share it. So Auntie Carol, I'm going to start with you.
All right, I had to unmute. Okay, so a little bit about my sewing journey and then a fun fact about me. Okay, so I've been sewing for 25 plus years. I've done, um, you name it, I've done it probably at least twice. So I've had things published. I've done some big jobs for major companies. I had my own business for 12 years as a tailor and as a custom seamstress. I went to tailoring school, so I am a certified tailor. And now I'm just out here sewing for myself, enjoying um, my own makes for my own self. And I no longer take commissions, so the answer is no, always no, and forever no. And I'm here to share my wisdom, my knowledge to anybody who will listen or who wants to know about it. You can ask me anything, and hopefully I can help you with that. One fun fact about me.
What do you do in your spare time?
What do I do in my spare time? Okay, in my spare time, I love to dance. I'm quite the dancer. So I am a stepper here in Chicago. That's how I met my husband. Out stepping. And it's stepping is a lifestyle. And I am extremely handy with a hammer, some nails, and a drill. So I can, and I've fixed furnaces and all kind of good stuff. So yeah, that's one thing that a lot of people are kind of surprised about me doing. But I am a engineer by trade, so that's what I do in my daytime life. So sewing is my therapy, and it's now what I do to relieve stress, and the process is absolutely wonderful. That's probably the best part about it is the process. So yeah, but that's what I do in my spare time. I am a dancer.
Well, you're gonna have to give us a little for those that get to Chicago a little early. You're gonna have to give us a little. I know how I can do a good two-step, and a couple of other things guided by my man who is also an avid stepper. So I'm a good follower. That's what I am.
That's what I'm talking about.
And Elizabeth, if you could tell us, a little bit about yourself, your sewing, how long you've been into sewing, and a fun fact about you.
Sure. I started sewing when I was maybe like 17 on a sewing machine, and decided I wanted to sort of self-draft a few of my own dresses and dresses for like my nieces who were very small at the time. Nothing fancy or sophisticated at all. I was just trying to figure it out with this old sewing machine. And then I went away to school and sort of didn't touch it for a very, very, very long time. But I've always been big into crochet and cross stitch and all sorts of other fiber arts. And I got really into sewing bags. I want to say it was still 2020 when it happened. And it would take me like a week to make a bag because I got babies at home. But now I just like crank them out and I do it for fun and it's a huge stress relief and I love it and I love sharing it with people. So I'm just doing all this stuff for fun.
Oh my goodness. Well, you look, I have made officially one bag, Aisha's self-drafted bag, is for those that might remember. And it was a fun experience, but the bags that I would love to make, I'm not feeling warm and fuzzy about them. I feel like they are going to take a lot of steps, but I still want to make them. So you told us a little bit about what you would like, what you do for fun. Is there anything else that you want to share in terms of what you like to do for fun or what you do in your spare time?
I mean, I feel like everybody knows. I also like to bake cakes and cookies,
Okay.
but I did it for a while. Like I was taking orders and doing that and giving my whole weekend to that as a side hustle that I did not need. So I stopped doing it. And now I really just focus on doing it for my kids or special occasions. But when I do, it's like I go all out.
I
So
know
I'm big
that's right.
into party planning.
Well, now I know I'm keeping that little tidbit in my back pocket if I ever need a specialized cake or I need to step up my 2-step to a 4-step. I know who I'm going to call. For those that don't know, LaShawn, owner of So Sophisticated Designs, Let's Get Social. I have been sewing for about just shy of 2 years, and I love it. I love it. I love it so much. That's what I do in my spare time. And then for those that don't know, like Elizabeth, I feel like everybody knows this, but I love running. I love fitness, all things fitness. So when I am not sewing, when I'm not traveling for work, I am definitely doing something fitness related. So that's what I do in my spare time, in addition to spend time with my family and my wonderful significant other. So with that, we're going to give the people what they want, why they're here, which is to really learn all about Frocktails. So we're going to literally talk everything Frocktails. So tell me if I got this correct. So Carol, I know you're from Chicago. Elizabeth, where are you from? Chicago too? Like,
Yeah.
okay, so you both are going to really be able to dive into all these questions. And so I think what I'd like to start with is kind of setting the stage to tell people who have never been to Chicago, like, tell people, like, what is your favorite thing about Chicago? Like, what can people expect? What are some of the things that they can expect, particularly if they are coming a day early or staying a day late? Like, what is it about Chicago that makes it the right place? And then we're going to dive in a little bit about why you chose to bring Frocktails to Chicago. Like, why was this important? And Elizabeth, why were you inspired to kind of join the planning committee? So first questions first, what about Chicago? Like, what should people like or know about Chicago?
Do you want me to go first?
Go first. There you go.
Okay. So two things for me, and of course, being born and raised here. And I moved away for 4 years. I lived in New York City, and it took me moving away to realize what a great city we had. Now, number one is the food here. I'm talking about the high end restaurants and the greasy spoon hole in the walls. The food here is phenomenal. So, and there's different, unfortunately, there it's a segregated city, but When you go into other neighborhoods and eat some of the food from the natives, oh man. So the food is unmatched. And the downtown area, which is the actual loop, the lakefront, Michigan Avenue, um, uh, State Street. Uh, what's the how come I can't think of it? The street where all the bars are.
Oh, I don't know. I thought you were gonna
Down
say the Magnificent
just
Mile, and I'm like,
north of Navy Pier, right in that whole Navy Pier chunk. Rush Street. Rush
Okay.
Street. What? So we have like great things to see as a big city, but there's always a lot to do. I mean, if you go down to Navy Pier and just walk the lake, that'll take up pretty much your whole visit. Just, seeing the sights, going to Water Tower Place, sitting on a corner and people watch. That's a lot of fun to do. But we have lots of there's lots of food, there's lots of fun, and everything is kind of centralized. And if you're down in the loop, you are going to get some of the best parts of Chicago. There's the bean, and a lot of the touristy stuff is there, but it's still very nice. And it's something that us as locals still engage in. You know how you go to some places and you talk to people that are locals, they're like, I don't go down there. Hey, that's where the tourists go. No, it's not like that here. You'll find tourists, but the locals will be mixed in as
Mm-hmm.
well. But I tell my friends that are not here from Chicago, when they come here in the wintertime, you can tell the locals don't put on a hat unless it's at least like in the teens. They won't
Mm-hmm.
have hats on. Other than that, if it's 30 degrees out, you can tell the people that are not from here. They just be like, oh my God. And we just be walking and, get out the way. And then another thing about Chicago, because it's a large city, it's spacious. Everybody's not on top of each other, kind of like in New York. It's really congested. It's not like that here. And I think it's because nobody lives in, let me take that back. People do live in the business district and in the loop, but the majority of the people live on the outskirts of the city. So literally after maybe about 9 o'clock, if there's nothing going on the lakefront and the park district programs, then the city thins out. It's not empty, but it thins out. So then everybody kind of goes, home into the neighborhoods and the areas where they live. So there's never a whole bunch of congestion, not even at rush hour. You can still walk down the street, not bump into nobody unless
Yeah.
they're on their phone.
Oh, right, which might be me as
Right.
I'm looking for the next place I'm going to explore. So, Elizabeth, anything to add in terms of what people can expect when they come to Chicago?
yeah. I mean, I think I would add to that. You won't get lost trying to navigate on your phone because it's really easy to get around. We're set up on a grid, right?
Yes.
And it's logical. I love it. Like the OCD in me loves that it's set up that way. But then also people are really nice. So it's big city, but like Midwestern manners most
Okay.
of the time. So, you can ask for directions. People are generally kind. I noticed that difference a lot when I lived on the East Coast for a while. Like people are much nicer here. So
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to meeting the really nice people. I looked up the weather and I know it's going to be like upper 70s, maybe low 80s in around the time that we're going to be there. So I have been to Chicago several times, never in June. It's always been in the extreme weather where like literally you can't wait to get indoors because it's for me, it's so cold. So I am the person that has on like you don't even see my face because I'm fully covered. The wind has been like nothing I've ever experienced. So I am looking forward to really being able to explore Chicago. I want to go on the boat ride, like that historic boat ride that everybody talks about. I
Mhm.
definitely want to do that. I'm looking forward to that. And I know that they have that park that's right on the waterfront. So I really want to get out and kind of walk along that as well. Okay, so let's get into the second part of the question, which is what made you want to, so Carol, for you, what made you really want to pull this group together and bring a Frocktails to Chicago? I believe this is the first ever, this is the inaugural first ever Frocktails in Chicago. So I know you all are going to be representing big. And Elizabeth, when you heard, or when Auntie Carol gave you the call, or you heard about this, like what made you say, oh yeah, I want to be a part of bringing Frocktails to Chicago? So who wants to go first?
I'll start. So back in 2018 was the first time that I was asked to host it. And then I was working at McCormick Place, and it was just kind of a lot because I was transitioning from being an independent contractor to working back in corporate America. So I was just kind of like, no, I really don't have the time. I'm transitioning right now, so it wasn't a good time. Then I was approached again in 2019, but the person who brought it to me was a traveler, so we never were able to meet to get anything started. And then, of course, the pandemic happened. So then I was asked again, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. But when I went to New York Frocktails, I had such a good time, the first one that they had. And then I was asked again, and I was like, well, I don't know. And our class reunion was coming up, and I planned our high school class reunion since we've started. So I was like, well, I don't want to bump into that, because you got to look for people and you got to do this and that. And I'm like, no. But Carmen got me 2 a.m. morning or something. I was on live, and she was like, you can do it. You can do it. You can do, Carmen.
I did.
Finally, I said, all right.
Inspired.
And people were witnessed in that. So I had to kind of, stand back. And so I was just like, well, it's not like I haven't been approached. So, and I've been to Frocktails, so I kind of know what direction to go to or to go in. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do it.
Well, I honestly can't think of a better person to throw the inaugural Chicago Frocktails. I am extremely excited. And then hearing about that Elizabeth is on your planning team, I'm even more excited. So Elizabeth, tell me, or tell the people a little bit about, like, what excited you about joining the Frocktails team?
I think I was caught on a live too. And somebody was like, are you going to help? And I was like, yeah, I'll help. Sure. And then I just like went full throttled, like, fine, I'm here for all the help that I can give. Right. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to participate in it. I haven't had the chance to do one yet because every time they come up, there's a conflict on my calendar. So this just worked out and everything fell into place.
Sure. Well, that's awesome. And I know you two are part of a larger team. You want to talk a little bit about, the people on the team? You don't have to give, you can give as much or a little bit of information, but maybe their subject matter expertise or the different things that you're working on and what the people can really expect as they're coming to Chicago Frocktails.
As far as the team, we have Auntie Carrie. You can see Endless Designs by Carrie. She's on there. So she brings a nice little social media piece because she's on It's So Easy It's So Easy program. So she has access to some of the larger sewing vendors and some of the bigger companies, but she's also a master quilter. So I wanted to bring in a nice diverse group, somebody that does a little bit of everything, and we have that. We have Janelle, who is come on now, how come I can't think of her? Janelle Hampton. I can't think of her.
Her hand.
She does bonnets. Yeah.
Okay.
So she's on social media as well. She's got a pretty large following on TikTok too. And then we have Elizabeth, who's our bag maker, has a nice following. So we have a nice crew. Some of the other ladies are friends of mine that have been sewing almost as long as I have. I do have one friend, Allison. She's been sewing a little longer. She was a resident Vogue Fabrics employee, and that's how I met
Okay.
her because I used to go into Vogue every Thursday night after work. So when I would walk in, she was ready for me. So come on over here. Let me show you what we got in new.
I know
So,
that's right.
yeah, she was the fabric
Those are the
pusher.
best friends to have.
Yeah. So everybody on the group is a sewer or a creative bag maker in that respect. And then my sister also joined. So my sister, she doesn't sew, but she's very organized. She's running her chapter. She's a Delta, and
Okay.
she's always been a planner. So she will say things like, make sure that this is done, make sure that is done, make sure this is done, make sure that is done, which is kind of nice because sometimes I'll kind of jump in on things, and we have everybody, you know, bringing in ideas, and maybe because she's not looking at it from a creative perspective or a sewing
Right.
perspective, she can see maybe some things that we may miss. But we have a good mix. We chit chat on the, we have a chat set up for our group in case we can't meet or something happens. We are able to keep this dialogue running on a daily basis, which is, pretty helpful because everybody has lives and jobs and, things
Oh
they
yeah.
do. So sometimes if somebody can't attend a video meeting, we're able to talk and chit chat. Just like we had some people that were missing from a meeting, and I'm like, well, let's just cancel the meeting since we all just can't sit down. But we were able to handle a lot of stuff
Right.
on the chat.
Well, I just want to give a shout out to all of the planning committee members because, again, like you said, I know everyone is juggling, and I want to get
Mhm.
a post up so that everybody knows that this is a team effort and that you all are putting in some great work, so that we can all kind of give them a huge thank you for the time that they're putting in, the effort that they're putting in. Because I'm excited about the Chicago Frocktails. I cannot wait to see what everybody has on, and I know it's going to be a great event, and I want to be able to give the shout outs to all the people that are supporting and helping this process, which really brings me to the next question, which is let's talk a little bit about the theme. How did you decide what the theme is? Did the group discuss it? And and we're going to talk a little bit about some inspiration and things like that. I got a couple of little of pictures that I want to pull up in terms of inspiration. And so, but before we go to that, let's just talk a little bit about the theme. How did you come up to it? What should people expect to see? What do you hope to see?
Oh
Both.
goodness. I just hope to see everybody in something fun and something that they feel comfortable in. So the blues theme kind of came about. We tossed around a couple of ideas. And Harlem Nights was one of the first ones. And the only thing, we were talking about what's the consensus. And I just felt like if we did a theme like that, then everybody would come in a kind of costumey looking, flapper dresses with fringe and feather hats. And I'm like, well, if we're gonna pick a theme, we need to be able to create something that you could possibly wear again, or and that wouldn't look. I didn't want it to look like a costume party. I still wanted everybody to, kind of put in um, their own flair and things like that. So when we all talked about the blues, it was kind of like we were talking about it, but we kind of were popped in one era.
Mm-hmm.
And Elizabeth was like, why don't we just, cover all eras? And I'm like, I'm for that because that allows people to go out and pick whatever era they like, whatever they see, and then you can come as you want to come,
Mm-hmm.
But as I'm just saying, that's our theme, and that's what we want everybody to, do some glam, do some blues, or do some do some blues outfits. But if you're a new sewer, don't think that you can't come and you got to have this dramatic dress on with the back out. Do what you can. It's all about coming to the city, meeting the people that you follow, meeting some people in the group that has a like mind, and just meeting people that stitch, that yarn, that make hats or make shoes or whatever it is that they do creatively. It's just for us to come together and have a good time.
I know that's right. And so, Elizabeth, in kind of thinking about ways to, make this I guess, inclusive in terms of people's ability and people's sewing ability, but also style ability and in terms of doing what they want to do. What do you hope to see? What kinds of inspiration do you think that people can, draw from? And I think another question that I have for you is, have you picked your Frocktails outfit?
Wow, really putting me on the spot. So I mean, I've talked about this with a bunch of different people, right? Because some are having a difficult time trying to like decide what to hone in on because we cover such a broad range of dates, right? So fashion from late 1920 to early 1960 is vastly different depending on socioeconomic status, where you live geographically, what kind of blues the person was singing. And so like really it gives people the freedom to choose from like basic everyday wear to like glamorous nightclub stage garments. And so wherever your skill level puts you that you feel comfortable, I think that's where we should go. We're not trying to like go in there and turn our noses up at people's seams or anything. We want people to come and find other like-minded creatives to help find a sense of community, whether it's going to be locally or just like all the people that are going to come in from out of town. For me, I sew a lot of garments, but I wouldn't say that I'm like great at it necessarily. And so I'm trying to go in between with like really nice fabric, simple silhouette, right? And I like being also a plus size sewist, my pattern selection is going to be sort of limited on what I can find that's out there because I just like can't sew a big five. They get me really frustrated. I've bought them, I've tried them, and I'm like done. I prefer to go the indie route, and so I think I'm going to end up going with one of the charmed patterns because they're known for their retro styles and they have very expanded size ranges, which is wonderful. So I have narrowed down my selection to like 3 patterns from there. I think I know what my fabric is going to be. And I work the best under pressure. So I'll probably be sewing at the end of May, early June.
Okay. Look, I'm excited. First of all, thank you for talking about your like process that you went through to kind of get to the pattern where you're at. Thank you for talking about, the options in terms of, that you don't have to get super fancy. And that's one of the things that I found, that there really is a huge range. Again, you're talking about the 1920s all the way to the 1960s. And it's so amazing how things really like shifted in each one. I mean, the 20s does not look like the 30s, doesn't look like the 40s, doesn't look like the 50s, doesn't look like the 60s. I mean, it's pick your year. But not only that, to your point, when I was looking at men's clothing, I saw some very, what I would call like, I don't want to say basic, but simplistic looks, but they were definitely of the era. So you could tell that it was like an era or period look, but it wasn't like glamorous. And then you see some of the blues players in the clubs who might have on a really nice like, do men call it like blazer jacket? And then, but the clothes underneath are pretty simplistic. But this blazer's got color and real nice fabrics and things like that. So you're right. Like there's really something there for everyone. And that's part of the reason why I'm going to admit I have not picked what I'm doing yet and I got some patterns out here, but I have not picked what I'm doing. So Auntie Carol, let's flip it to you. Have you decided what you are wearing, and tell us a little bit about that process, or if you're still trying to decide, what have you went through in terms of the process?
I actually have decided what I'm going to wear. I have my fabric. It's just a matter of getting started. Um, my process was literally I got on the internet and just typed in blues and did images and just looked through and just seeing what kind of inspiration I could get, what I was finding, what I was liking, what I know that looks decent on me. Some of the silhouettes are really, really nice. The strapless with the trumpet bottom, but I don't want to be walking like Charlotte on Sex in the City when and she was in the black wedding gown and she was like, so I need something that's gonna be
Penguin walk.
moving. Right, she could hardly walk, and I love the low backs, but my back doesn't love the low back. So I'm like, I need to find something that's gonna be conducive to my aesthetic. I'm gonna be, of course, running around and doing all kind of things because we're gonna be hosting the party. So I found the perfect outfit for me.
Okay, okay, okay. I
It's,
am
I
I
am gonna wear. I will tell this. I am gonna wear a suit.
okay. I'm excited. I cannot wait to see what both of you are wearing. I did just kind of prep. I think I did a poll for both men and women. So I am going to just pull up this little picture that I prepared. Um, and really it just shows like some of the women's, again, we're talking about, a spread of different, airs. I think this is 20, 30s, I'm sorry, 40s and 50s. I personally like the pantsuit, for that middle pantsuit that the woman had on. I'm leaning towards that. And then again, these are some of the men's. You can see how, again, some are very simplistic. And then you can see the men, some of them are more elaborate, in terms of their look. And so, of course, the job that we have is trying to identify a pattern that matches that. And Elizabeth talked a little bit about, how the process that you go through to do that. And so I know on the Chicago Frocktails page, there are some posts that give some recommendations for some patterns. So I definitely would say take a look at the Chicago Frocktails page. Also, Chicago Frocktails has a Pinterest page, and we'll make sure that we post that as well. That will give some, inspiration to you if you are kind of like, what am I going to do? But again, what we hope that you heard from, myself, Elizabeth, and Carol is that you do not have to go all the way elaborate. You can really find something that is more simple, especially if you're a beginner sewist. But no matter what you will learn if this is your first time attending Frocktails is that there is something there for everyone. This is really a time to celebrate you making your best attempt to make something that you can wear that fits you and your personality. And we're just doing it with a little bit of a theme. The only other things that I did want to share is I did find a couple of patterns. Now, these are what I also found is that when you're looking in the like 1930s, 1940s or so, I felt like Vogue had some patterns that really fit that theme more than anything else. Now you might have to do a little bit of modifications to some of these patterns. Now, the one thing I will say is that Vogue patterns, for the most part, are not the simplest patterns to be able to do. They are some of the more challenging patterns, but I just wanted to share that there are some patterns out there. This is a vintage pattern. Again, a couple that I just pulled out of my drawer like moments ago. There are also some, I would encourage people to look at the vintage simplicity patterns as well. They do have some, and definitely take a look at the charm pattern, since Elizabeth had recommended they have some great vintage options as well. So again, just for reference, charmed patterns, Vogue has some good patterns. If you want to go fancy, Vogue is probably going to be where you'll find something that will be similar. The Chicago Frocktails page on Instagram has some pattern options that you could take a look at. And then, of course, the Chicago Frocktails Pinterest take a look at that. Those will be some options for you. Before I move on to the next question, any last minute thoughts about inspiration, looks, pattern selection that you think might be helpful?
Um, like I said earlier, just do what you're comfortable with. If you are a more advanced sewer and you want to take the challenge, I've seen people on Instagram buying beaded fabric and planning out their outfits, but just mainly we are going to throw a party. So come to have a great time.
Okay, so we have a question in the chat. Look, I'm ready. I'm coming in early and staying late. I'm coming in early and I'm staying late, and I'm extremely excited about it. One of the questions that is in the chat is how many days is the event and when is the event? So, oh, go ahead.
The event is 2 days. It's June 8th and June 9th. So the first day or the first evening is going to be the actual Frocktails party. And if you are staying on on Sunday, I'm sorry, it'll be a shopping trip to everybody in Chicago. No, my favorite fabric store in the city. And that fabric store is quite an adventure. So that is why I picked it.
Okay, well, I'm excited. So that means if you're flying in, like me, bring an empty suitcase, bring an extra bag because you might think you're not buying anything until you get in that fabric
You
store.
gonna buy something. You definitely gonna buy something in there. Now, I went in there just to talk to the general manager about the actual event, and I left out with two pieces. I wasn't even supposed to go back to where the fabric was, but I was like, well, since I'm here.
Elizabeth, you might have to make some room because your shelves look already like they have no more room for fabric.
Oh, don't worry. My fabric isn't not really in here for garments. It's taking up the whole shower in the bathroom out there.
Okay.
My husband's like, if I turn on the water, I was like, it's fine.
So let me just put a shout out to some of the bad girlies that are probably going to be going on the shopping trip. There's a whole corner of leather in that place. Yeah. Okay. You can smell it when you walk in. It's like, is that leather I smell?
I know that's right. Well, I might be getting some of that because I'm looking for some leather. I'm definitely looking for some leather. Okay, well, let's talk. You said we're going to have a party, and I feel like we are definitely going to have a party. So let's talk a little bit about like the music. Will we, I guess a couple of questions. One is, what kind of music should I think can people look forward to? And what's some of or I guess I should say, maybe what is one of your favorite, artists that produces blues or a song that you have that you like? So either one, artists, music, your favorites, a song that you like. And I have a couple of my own that if you listen to my Instagram, you'll see one that I continue to play over and over again that I like.
Oh, okay, so let me be perfectly honest. Because I grew up in Chicago and my family is from the East Coast, I didn't know much about blues and that kind of music until I married my husband. Right. So, but because I live in Chicago, I don't know why. I've always been a fan of Coco Taylor. And I don't know if it's because she's local or when I was in my 20s, we used to go and sneak in the club and watch her sing. And I was just glad to be there. I wasn't like headbanging or anything, but it was just, I guess, a good experience because she's a highly regarded, local blues artist here. But I love me some BB King. I don't know where that came from, but I've been loving BB King since my early 20s. So I don't know, maybe it's because I was able to see him and he was visible. And Jailhouse Rock by Elvis has got to be one of my favorite songs.
Okay. I didn't
So
expect that, but I'm not surprised.
yeah,
Okay.
so but other than that, because it is going to, because we have the blues theme, yes, we are going to play some blues music for everybody, and it's not going to be that my wife left me and I'm so sad, and we're gonna stick with the theme, but you better believe, like I said, what did I say I like to do when I first started? I like to dance. It's gonna be a party.
I know that's right.
So yeah, we're gonna do a bit of one and a lot of the other.
Okay, okay. So Elizabeth, tell me about what is your love of the blues, like of the blues, familiarity with the blues, favorite artist, favorite song, any of that?
I mean, it's like really minimal. I'm not I'm not like the biggest music person to begin with, right? Like I don't play it for background noise, or like everybody who watches me live knows I'm like, what is the song that's playing? But I like Johnny Cash. I like
Okay,
Etta
okay.
James and Billie Holiday. I like the fashions more than like the music, I guess. I don't know.
I'm the same way.
There's like a
Okay.
romanticism for me with this whole time period that like really has me excited about sewing something up that's representative of that. But like when it comes to the music, maybe there's stuff I just don't even know I like that is part of like what this is. I'm sure I'll figure that out as I'm doing more research. But those three come to mind. And I would just like remind everybody that rockabilly blues also fits, and that's a really fun fashion to draw from. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah, look, I love it. You know what? So again, to I think the things that you're bringing out is that the blues is really it could be different things for different people. The
Yeah.
music that you listen to, what you wore. And so that's what I think I'm most excited about is to see what is the blues to you? What era did you pick? Who was your inspiration? When you show up, I'm just really excited about that. So you all both picked, some people that I definitely like BB King, Etta James. Etta James, I'm definitely looking at in terms of like my style inspiration. Of course, Ray Charles, like, I love Ray Charles, so just his voice. And but those I think I would say like are three of the people that I either their style, their song, their music are people that I'm like having the background, like, how is it making me feel? Sometimes when I'm listening to music, when I'm listening to Etta James, I feel, like sexy. And so I'm looking at something like, oh, what is going to make me feel this way? And then sometimes I'm listening to Ray Charles and I'm like, you know what? I need a pantsuit because, I'm feeling the way. So, again, I think that the music, what I would say for people who are still trying to find their way, find your song, listen to some songs, Google blues music, and whatever that song is that's making you feel a way, like use that to draw your inspiration so that when you walk up in there, you can personify like whatever it is that you are feeling, because people may not recognize me when I show up there. I'm going to be a whole different person. I'm walking in there I'm going to be walking out of 1930s, the accent, the persona, everything. So I'm just giving y'all a little bit of what to look forward to. Okay, no, that is really good. Okay, let me see if we have any questions in the chat. Again, for those that are here, please drop your questions in the chat, anything that we might not be bringing up. And of course, Elizabeth and Carol, if I'm skipping something or I didn't ask you something, please, don't hesitate to let me know. I'm going through, let me see the questions. Any thoughts about like, and I know you both said that you're still looking at, what you're doing in terms of like fabrics. Any suggestions or thoughts about like different fabrics that people might consider? I know the sky is the limit. Again, we talked about like you could really do a little bit of anything. But any kind of common themes or fabrics that you have seen when you've looked at like materials or dresses in the theme?
When I go out to the Pinterest board, I see elegance. So potaswa, knotty polyesters, like that are like silk, raw silk copies. Um, sequins, fringe, then there's cotton eyelet dresses that are A-line that have, some crinoline underneath. Um, I'm looking at some chiffon, lots of off the shoulder. We even have a Nina Simone in a crocheted outfit.
Nina
So
Simone.
if you,
Yes.
yeah, if you're a yarn person, get that crocheted outfit together. Do a off the shoulder top or whatever whatever you have time for.
Nina,
Because
look,
it takes a while, but you can pretty much do whatever you want. I see a dress here that has some velvet on it. So it's all about what you want to choose. And then for men, you can use the shark skin, which is uh, a wool fabric, but it has a sheen to it. Maybe you may make the sleeves a little shorter so you can see the cuff of the shirt. The pants are generally what the guys are wearing today with, the ankle length and no socks. They did that in the 50s. Skinny ties were really popular back then. So it's do a little bit of research, but I like the fact that you said listen to a song that you may connect with. Flowers in the hair, that was a big thing. You want to put some flowers in your hair. There won't be any flowers in my hair because I don't have any. So
look, I've been looking at some little short wigs because I'm like, I'm trying to go all out. Look, I know you said it's not costumey, and I definitely won't look like I have a costume on, but I will definitely. The plan is to look like I am of the air.
yeah, if you want to do like a fascinator with feathers and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
oh no, go right
Yeah.
ahead. I will tell you all this. I am wearing a hat. So it's all about, what you're feeling and what you want to bring. My hat is very fun. I even have my hat.
I know that's right. Look, I have to get started. I have not started yet. I have definitely got to get started. And I'm feeling even stronger after doing this live, like what direction I'm going in fully. I'm feeling so. And those that get on my Friday lives may get a touch of that because we might be sewing my Frocktails outfits on.
And then too,
Friday.
as far as weather, we're going to be inside, of course, but in the early parts of June, in the evening here in Chicago, it's super comfortable. It's not hot. It's not humid. So if you have on a dress that has sleeves, when you go outside, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm so hot. I got this on. Yeah, you'll be really comfortable.
Good. That's good to
Yeah, it's comfortable, very comfortable weather.
That is good to know. Well, let me see. I think we've talked a lot about, the era. We talked about, the inspiration, the music. We talked about different fabrics and where people can go to get inspiration for their different looks. We also talked about when is the Frocktails, which for those that need a reminder, it is June 8th and 9th. What
Mhm.
time is the Frocktails on the 8th? What time is the actual event start?
From 6 to 11.
6
So,
p.m.
yeah, we talked about it. At first, we were thinking it was going to be too long, but then we decided, well, once we have a cocktail hour, we have giveaways and the runway show and all of the other things that we have planned. Uh, if everybody starts thinning out at 10 o'clock or 10:30, that will be fine. It gives us enough time to get everything together and vacate the premises. But I think everybody's going to be leaving at 11.
Okay. No, I mean, well, I'm glad you went into, some of the key pieces of the Frocktails, which is what people can expect. And then, I mean, if most of the sewists that I know, they on sewist people time, which means that they are running late all the time. And so for those that show up at 6 o'clock, you know, I might be one of them because I want to see everybody and I want to talk to everybody. But for the rest of us that show up on sewist people time, which might be 7:30, 8 o'clock, whatever, the sewist people time, we need that until 11 o'clock. So I like that we have a nice bit of time to get there and to mingle.
Right.
And I'm definitely looking forward to the giveaways. And is there anything else that you want to share in terms of what people can expect when they come to this Frocktails?
Expect to have a good time. Expect a nice, large venue, so we're not going to be all on top of each other. And expect to have some good food and some fun. But I will tell you all this. The Jazz Festival, the Chicago Park District has announced that the Jazz Festival will be happening that same weekend. So Frocktail starts at 6. So you want to get up and see the city on Saturday, or if you're coming in early on Friday, don't be making your outfit this weekend and miss out on Chicago. Get your outfit done before you get to Frocktail so you can enjoy the city. And then when you enjoy the city, you can go to your hotel, get all dustied up and dolled up, and then join us at the party. So I mean, if you want to sew at the airport, that's on you. But yeah, don't waste your time making your outfit Saturday in your hotel room. You need to be out seeing the city.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
So a couple questions, because we definitely want to get the couple questions in. And Elizabeth, I definitely want to hear from you as well. So someone asked, what is the actual venue? Like, where is it at? And I believe that you do have this information about closest hotels so that people know, like, I think that is posted somewhere, but Elizabeth or Carol, if you want to give information about the venue and then where they can find like hotel information.
It's at a place called the Bellagio. The exact street address is on the Frocktails website, along with like all the links for good places to eat, things to see. We as a committee came together and brainstormed a lot of ideas. So all the lame ones have been weeded out and go with confidence. The one other thing that I would add to like what people can expect from the event is like to actually connect with people and make some friends. We're actively working on ways to make sure that it's easy to identify like who people are from social media and to connect with them when they're at the event. So we're really hoping to facilitate more of that sense of community and just have people coming back year after year.
I know that's right. I love that. And then I know that, a lot of tickets have been sold. Like literally everyone that I know is going to be there. I mean, when I say everyone I know is going to be there. So how many tickets have you sold so far? And are we sold out? Like, if somebody is listening to this and like, I gotta be there, can they get a ticket? Is it too late? Like,
no, it's not too late. We are in the 150s right now. Some people just bought tickets actually today or yesterday. So there's still tickets available. We just started with card flyers locally about 2 weeks ago. So it's, we have a couple of fabric stores and key places around the city that are passing out our flyer. So we're waiting to get some locals in. And every time I go somewhere, I always mention it to people. So it's, so we're expecting to get up there. If we don't get to 300, I think we may do a little over 200.
Okay.
I think from 2 to 250.
First of all, let me just say this. 150 tickets for your very first Frocktail is nothing to sneeze at. That is commendable. That you all have put in some work. So congratulations to you, because if you don't sell one more ticket, you have done an amazing job.
We still have, nice video. Well, we can give a lot of that credit to Carmen, because she has really been marketing at this event for us to the T. And I don't know why she know we love her. Carmen, where you at?
Well, huge shout out to Carmen for marketing.
Yes, she's been doing a wonderful job.
because 150 tickets is 150. So that's why all my friends are there, because literally they're all my friends. 150 people. That's about the friends the sewers that I know. They are all coming, and I'm excited to see what they are all going to make. Okay, we had another question. Someone asked, what time is shopping on Sunday? Have you all decided like what time people are going to meet up for shopping and what to expect around that?
It hasn't been finalized yet. I'm still working on that, but ideally I'm looking at 9 a.m. to 12. So we're going to be leaving a designated area. Like at 8:30 is what time that, that I have pegged for everybody to meet. I know it's going to take a minute for people to get on the buses, but from 9 a.m. to noon is the time that I have slotted out. So we're still talking to the store
to find out. Okay, so for those that have not booked your flights yet, make sure you book an evening flight, so that way you don't feel pressure. You can enjoy the shopping trip, and preferably, if you are able, stay the next day, stay another day. That way you really don't have to have any pressure. Right. But look out when you have all of the agenda finalized. Will you post it on the Chicago Frocktails website so that people who are trying to book their flights and things like that can make sure they have everything they need in terms of what time? Well, they know what time to get in, because they know we're starting at 6:00 if you don't come the day before, but they will have that information posted on the Chicago Frocktails website for exactly when, what time. Yes. Again, Auntie Carol's saying between 9 and noon is the actual, time of the shopping trip. So give yourself a little grace period. I would say if you haven't booked your flights yet, definitely I would stick with the evening. That way you are safe and good to go. Let's see. I'm just looking. If anyone has any other questions about Frocktails, or any other questions for Elizabeth or Carol?
Oh, I do. Let me just put this out there because I've heard in the community that some people may be thinking about Airbnb. If you are considering getting an Airbnb with a couple other people or that kind of thing, please, you can drop me a DM or send me an email via Chicago Frocktails, and I'll let you know if it's near the venue, if it's a good neighborhood. We want everybody to be safe, and if you're not from here, I don't just want you to go out to Airbnb because you may see the most beautiful rooms and the kitchen is so nice, and it might be like right in the middle of somewhere you don't want to be. So make sure you run that by us before you make that plan. And I also had someone reach out to me and ask, was it necessary to have a car? She let me know where she was staying, and I said, no, you really are in an Uber area. She doesn't need to rent a car because, of course, we're in a large city. Parking is expensive, especially in the area where the venue is going to be.
I have been to Chicago downtown, like I said, many times for work, and I've never had a problem with getting Uber. Like, no problems at all. Even from the from the airport to downtown, and even within downtown, I've never had a problem. So you are definitely in an Uber-friendly area. You're not going to have any problems. And there's public transportation, too. I haven't used it, but I saw it downtown. I saw a bus.
No, you can just take an Uber.
Oh yeah, okay, take Uber. Okay. I'm just saying I just saw it, so I know it's there, but I don't know anything about it. So but Elizabeth said take an Uber, so take an Uber. Forget what I said. Take an Uber.
and I know the L tracks are gonna be very fascinating to those who have never been here. Don't go up them steps.
I mean, like, the infrastructure is wonderful, right? Yeah. But I would not recommend that you get on there all glammed up, looking like you got bills in your purse, right? That's all I'm saying. Take an Uber.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Take Uber.
Uber, because the area we're going to be in is definitely Uber friendly. You don't need to be on public transportation. You might get on somewhere and be like...
Right. Well, look. The chat has spoken. They have supported Elizabeth and Carol's recommendation for the Uber. Disregard what I said about the bus. It looked nice on the street. I've never caught it.
Leave the public transportation up to the locals.
Okay, yep. We hear that loud and clear.
Right.
For those that watch the recording, I'm just gonna repeat for the record one more time. Uber, please. Uber.
Right.
That was great. Anything else? I'm looking for any other questions, anything else you want to tell the people about Chicago Frocktails? Anything else?
It's going to be a good time. If you are someone that likes to, get watered and you're going to be having on heels this high, you might want to, if you're going to be walking back to the hotel, you might want to bring some kind of flats or something to walk back to the hotel. I do not suggest that you walk these streets with no shoes on. I know some people do that, but we don't want anybody stepping on glass and, don't do that. Please keep your shoes. If you're going to wear high heel shoes and you anticipate maybe your feet will be hurting, put some flats or pool shoes or something in your purse. So if you take a walk back to the hotel, you are not carrying your shoes because your feet hurt.
Oh yeah. Well, she is talking about me because the streets were super, super clean. I mean, when I was there, I saw it was nice and clean downtown. So
where were you? No.
I was right. I stayed right. I think I stayed. I think the W on the waterfront. It was clean.
It's a very clean city compared to a lot of other places that I won't name. Right? It's very clean, but it's still dirty. So
it's still dirty. Yeah,
I'm not saying I will walk with that.
We have our little friends. Sometimes they like to run around, and then we have the birds. All the pigeons live in the city. They're the upper echelon.
I've heard enough. I got my little. What do you call those little slides that you put on?
The ballerina flats.
Yes,
ballerina flats, pool shoes. And you need flip flops. It's going to be kind of warm out. So, but just as long, I don't want anybody, walking around with no shoes on. Because
Elizabeth said it's clean, but it's still dirty.
I said it was clean by comparison for sure, but I'm not like eating candy off of it or anything.
Oh yeah. Okay. I y'all are talking to me, so I have word. It has been. I heard you loud and clear. I got my little ballerina shoes. Okay, this was, first of all, thank you both so much for taking the time to share information about the Chicago Frocktails. I, like many other people, are really super excited. It's down to the countdown. I think we have 6 weeks, maybe June 8th and 9th. It's like 6 weeks away. Mm-hmm. So again, for some, that's plenty of time. For others like me, it's not a lot of time. And I have to start working on my Frocktails outfit like right away. So again, thank you both very, very much. I appreciate all the time that you took to share with us all about Chicago Frocktails. And I cannot wait to see you both in person. I can't wait to meet everyone in person. I'm going to be talking to everybody, all 300 people there I will have talked to at Chicago Frocktails. So again, thank you both so, so, so much.
Thank you. This was really fun.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thank you again, Carol. Thank you again, Elizabeth. I appreciate you both so much.
Thanks, LaShawn. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.